And we are live. Welcome everyone to another installment of our Q&A. We hope that you guys have been enjoying these, and reach out to us and leave some comments and questions of other topics that you would like to cover as we move forward. How's your day so far, Jennifer?
It's been good so far, enjoying this beautiful weather. The good thing about having lots of windows in the office is even if we're not out there, I can still see it from here, and it's so beautiful.
That's true. I remember for years I was in an office with 0 windows, and I never knew what was going on outside, so it's nice to have a lot of windows here. So, all right, why don't we jump into it? Let's start off with what's our first question for the week?
All right, first question of the week. Actually, this came up because a lot of our patients, because of this, the videos that we've been putting together, and also the content that we've been putting together on social media, people and patients have been asking us where to get their supplements from, specifically fish oil. Number one, what to look for when choosing the right type of fish oil for them. What is it good for anyway? And what are the things that you should look for in a label when choosing the right fish oil?
Great question. So just a caveat before we start, just full disclosure, we do have a fish oil here in the office that we do sell. And I went through a lot of due diligence and a lot of research to find the right one for us to carry, because there's so many out there. So I'll kind of share with you some of the things to look for. And the one that we have isn't the only one that you can get. There are other brands that are really good brands that carry very high quality fish oil. But I'd like to give you guys an idea of what to look for and why it's even important to take fish oil. So when you hear about omega-3s, basically fish oil and omega-3s are used kind of interchangeably. It's really kind of a misnomer. There is a difference between omega-3 and fish oil. And here's what it is. So you have omega-3 fats, which can be either plant-based, which is in the form of ALA, or you have it in the form of an animal form, which is EPA and DHA. So in omega-3, you can get omega-3s from flax seeds or from hemp seeds. You also can get omega-3s, EPA and DHA from animal sources. The best source of omega-3s are going to be EPA and DHA are going to be from fatty fish like wild salmon, sardines, anchovies, the smash fish, basically. Here's the problem is if you're consuming the plant-based form of omega-3s, the ALA form, then what happens is in order for your body to utilize the EPA and DHA, it can convert it. But the problem is that it does it very inefficiently. So you only convert ALA to EPA and DHA at about 10%. So the amount that you'd have to consume in order to get a decent amount is just, you can't consume that much omega-3s in plant-based source in order to get the EPA and DHA. So you want to be able to get a really good quality EPA and DHA. If you are vegan, you can still get it. It's in the form of algal oil, so from algae. It's the only way that I know of that you can get EPA and DHA as a vegan. So when you're looking for EPA and DHA, one of the reasons why it's so important is it's incredibly important in the structure of basically every cell in your entire body, especially your nerve system. And you need a certain amount of it in order for your cells to function optimally. If you look at some of the research by Omega Quant, they talk about you need to have 8 to 12% in the cell membranes. And you can actually get a test from them. I am unaffiliated with them, and I do not get any commission or referral fees for it. But you can check them out, Omega Quant. It's $50, and you can get your omega-3 status checked, and then you can determine from there how much of it exactly you need to take. But whenever I recommend supplements, I always recommend them in the form of what do we need that we're not able to get in sufficient quantities in our diet. So there's a lot of supplements out there that you can do high dose that you pull out of food. And even though you can get it in food, people take these super quantities of them. But I recommend just taking supplements that contain nutrients that our body needs that it's not able to get in our food in the amounts that we used to be able to get it. So examples of supplements that I recommend from that area are vitamin D. Why? Because we're not in the sun enough. We're not absorbing enough sunlight in order to produce optimal levels of vitamin D. So I recommend taking a good quality vitamin D supplement. Magnesium is incredibly important for cellular function. We used to get it from drinking natural spring water, but now everything is filtered. And so we don't get the amount of magnesium in our diet that we used to. Omega-3s are another one of those, that we don't eat enough wild fatty fish anymore. Plus, we're overloaded in omega-6s. So it's really important that we supplement with a good quality EPA and DHA omega-3. So what are some of the things that you want to look for? One of the things is that it's pharmaceutical grade. That just means that it's made in a very clean facility, basically, that it's molecularly distilled, that filters out all the toxins. Most of them nowadays are going to have that. The two things that I really look for now in a really good quality fish oil is, number one, the quantity of EPA to DHA. I'm looking for more of a natural ratio of EPA to DHA. And then the other really big one of the biggest things I think to look for is that it's in its natural triglyceride form. So when it's in its ethyl ester form, that's a way of processing it. It makes it less expensive, but it's also not as absorbable in the body, where I prefer the natural triglyceride form with antioxidants in it that keep it fresh for longer, and which is going to make it a lot more usable. It's also more aligned with what you're going to find in your wild seafood. So that's kind of the overall big picture of omega-3s. I know we need a lot more time. We could do a much deeper dive into that, but if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us for that. But I don't know, does that help clarify, or do you have any other further questions on that?
So I think I just need you to recap that. I know that it's a lot to unpack, but just give us, I guess, the top 3 things that you should be looking for again.
So number one, natural triglyceride form. Number 2, looking at the quantities of EPA and DHA, and then also making sure that it is pharmaceutical grade and molecularly distilled. And I would add a number 4, which is from a really reputable company. I would probably put that above even all of the other ones, because the supplement industry is not regulated very well. Mm-hmm. And so you want to make sure that you're getting it from a really high quality company. So some of the companies that are pretty good that are out there are Nordic Naturals. Carlson's is another good brand. The one that we carry in the office is Innate Choice, which I know the owner of that company. I know that their commitment to purity and to creating the best product out there, and their customer service is incredible. And so that's why we carry Innate Choice in the office. And so definitely making sure that you're looking for a very reputable company.
Cool. All right. We'll move on to the second question. This one is from someone who actually is concerned about movement and the most important movements when it comes to like aging and longevity. And his question was, why is it important to squat like properly, and why can I not do it?
So squatting is one of the most natural things that human beings have been able to do since the beginning of time. Under very, very rare circumstances can a person not squat if they've been doing it from when they were a child. It is just, there's almost nothing. Squatting is as natural as walking. There's very few people that don't learn how to walk. There's very few people that didn't start squatting all the way down when they were a child. The only reason that you wouldn't be able to do it today is because if you don't use it, you lose it. So because we have chairs, because we have Western toilets, because we sit in cars all day, because we have couches, we lose that ability. We don't use that range of motion. So our tissues and our joints get tighter, and the tissues are not as extendable and expansible to be able to put your body through these positions. I even have a patient, really interesting, sweetheart of a lady, and she grew up doing ballet dancing. And when I was checking her structure, so we checked her spine, and then when I was checking her feet, she had a significant lack of dorsiflexion in her foot, meaning being able to pull her foot up towards her, not go down, but to be able to extend up. And it felt like there was a bony block there. And when we talked about it, I said, you know, what I think happened is because as a child, as you were developing, you spent so much time in this point position and putting weight in this point position that I believe that you had bone that actually grew differently in your foot than a normal foot, which is now creating a lack of ability to move into that opposite range of motion. And so she actually went to go see a podiatrist and get x-rays, and they actually found that was the issue, that there was a bony block going on in her foot because of the way her foot developed, because of that abnormal stress and wear and tear due to excessive pointing in ballet growing up as a child. And so we have to be able to use these motions or else we're going to lose it. And some of the things that squatting is good for, it's great for the feet, it's great for the ankles, it's great for the knees, it's great for the hips, it's great for stretching the low back, it's great for balance. I mean, there's very few things that squatting is not good for. We have a patient here, so we're gonna have to finish this up in a minute here. So, and then we'll come back for more. So there's very few things that squatting is not great for. And so I recommend everybody spend time every day in the squat position. One of my favorite challenges is the 30 for 30, spending 30 minutes a day in a squat for 30 days straight. And you're going to see some incredible changes in your body. You're going to see your ankle mobility improve. Your knees are going to feel better. Your low back's going to feel better. Your hips are going to feel better. And the reason why most people can't get into that squat is because of one of those joints. It's either ankle mobility, it's knee mobility, it's hip mobility, or it's low back mobility, or sometimes even thoracic mobility. Because if you're not able to extend in the thoracic spine, then that can throw off your center of gravity and your balance. I find the overwhelming majority of the time, it's ankle mobility. It's lack of ankle dorsiflexion. And so we need to spend a lot of time creating that acute ankle angle. So the top of the foot and the leg. So this is upright, right? This is the front of the leg. And you should be able to squat and create that. Your toes should be able to go at least 4 to 5 inches in front of your knee, should be able to go at least 4 to 5 inches in front of your toe. And so one of the ways to check that is you put your foot in front of the wall with your toes facing the wall, put your fist with distance from your toes to the wall. And then you should be able to get your knee to travel forward and touch the wall without your heel coming up. So that's a great assessment to see if you have proper ankle mobility. If you don't, you have to fix it. Otherwise, it throws off the entire kinetic chain. If you don't have good mobility and good range of motion in your ankle, then your knee is going to be dysfunctional. And if your knee is dysfunctional, your hips are going to be dysfunctional. If your hips are dysfunctional, your spine's going to be dysfunctional. And if your spine's dysfunctional, your brain's going to be dysfunctional. And we have way too many of you out there with dysfunctional brains. So we have to work on that. All right?
Really say that? That was funny. Anyway, that threw me off a little. Well, anyway, squatting, actually, it's easy for me. I'm very fortunate that it's easy for me to squat and stay in that position. I know, Matt, you've seen me a lot of times at home taking naps in a squat position. But actually, I found that now that I'm back here and there's a lot, I mean, we do still squat, but I don't want to lose that mobility. So I still do some chores actually in the squat position. And I think it's really important that you keep that and you practice that. If you can't do it right now, there are a lot of modifications that you can do, and you can also ask Dr. Matt or me for modifications if you can't do a full squat for right now, but practice it.
Yeah, and join our group. So if you're watching this on Facebook, just go to our Precision Health group or send us a message and we'll get you into that group. We have a lot of free videos on mobility that you guys can do to work on over time getting into that squat position, because it's one of the most powerful things that you can do for aging. You want to be able to get up and down off the ground without assistance. And there's very few people that are over the age of 50 that I find that can do that without a massive struggle or holding onto a railing. And it really limits our ability to explore and our quality of life when we're not able to squat fully. So whatever you have to do, get in the position, stay there, and work on it consistently. Because if you don't use it,
you lose it.
You got it. All right, guys, we're going to have to cover carpal tunnel another day. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. Stay tuned. We'll do carpal tunnel next time, and we'll add in some new questions that have popped up. So take care. Have a great week, everyone.